Hi everyone! Welcome to another episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. In this episode, I'm going to show you a cool feature that I found in Blender 5.0. Okay, so first what I want to do is that I want to go into my assets browser. So check out the episode of how to make an assets browser if you haven't done so already. So what I'm going to do here is that I want to make a scene where I have an obelisk and a bunch of pyramids surrounding it, okay? So I want to use an array to do that. Well, to do that, in the past, if I want to do something where it was going to be a circular array, which this way what I want to do, I had to do a path to do it. But now, with the new release of Blender, they've updated that. So I'm going to get rid of this object here, and I'm going to put a pyramid on here first. So I'm going to drag this out. So I want to clear the transformation, and I found out something. If I do Alt-G, well, that's what happens. Gemini comes up. So I don't know how to fix that, but you know what? I can do clear location. There we go. So now we have our pyramid in the center, and I want to have it so that we have an obelisk in the center with a bunch of pyramids surrounding it, okay? But before I do that, I'm going to do the modifier, array. Now, we have the legacy array, if you keep to that, but I want to do the new one. So now, right off the bat, you can see that we have this rectangular or linear array, right? So on here, we have other ones here. We have transform, line, circle, or curve. I want to do circle to demonstrate this, okay? So now, I have all these items right here that are, that they're going around a central point, right? Well, right now we have a radius of 0, and we can take this so it goes out to 70, let's say, okay? And now, right off the bat, you can see they have the central point. We pulled this out 70, and I can change by distance or by count. And I can also change if it's going to be a circle segment of full or doing an arc, okay? So now I can change that to, say, 8. So really cool stuff right there, right? But why stop there? I can also do a line rotation. If I were just to take it so that they're all the same rotation, then you get that kind of a setup, right? I like to be able to align rotation, but there are reasons why you would not want to do that, right? So I said that we were going to have these pyramids surrounding an obelisk, right? And now I can change that, clear location. All right, now I got this really cool setup. Now another thing that we can do as well is that if we don't want a full circle, we just want, like, say, a half circle, well, then we can change this from full circle segment to arc. Now we have a 180 on this, right? Pretty sweet. So now we have all these items on here, and we can also animate these too, right? Um, so let's say, like, I don't want to have an 8 count right off the bat, right? And I can say, all right, well, I want to have this. I'm going to go back into layout. I'm going to have this set up so that we start out with 4, right? And then we can say, like, okay, well, I want to have 8 now. And actually, I want to pull this back. Here we go. I to insert a keyframe. And then I to insert a keyframe there. All right. So now, if I were to go back to the beginning, then I can animate this by pressing spacebar. Pretty sweet, huh? So let's undo those. And then I'm going to show you another way we can do this. Distance. So if I want to have these so that there are pyramids going every, say, 30 degrees, right? Then we can do something like that. And then let's say, all right, well, I want to have this so that this sweep angle goes from 0 all the way to 360. I can animate that, right? So I can say, all right, well, we'll go to 0, insert that, and then 360, insert that. And then what's nice is this automatically populates with each of the angles as it goes beyond 30 degrees, right? So now we go back to the beginning by doing, going back to the beginning, okay? And now we do the space bar, and then look what we got right here. So that gives us a way that we can get those items so that they're animated. Now let's say we want to put a little variation in this, right? We can also do randomize. Randomize is really cool. And you get all these options right here where you can do your offset, which is going to be your translation. You can also do randomizing on the instances with the rotation. So let's play around with that for a moment, okay? And then scale is another one, but let's focus on rotation first. I'm going to do it on the Z rotation. I'm going to get a little variation on this. And so now we're going to go to that point, right? So right now you're probably not seeing any randomization on rotation, right? But we have that so we can randomize when we just start to kind of play around with the values here. And we can play around on the slider. So there we go, where we have a little bit of randomization. So now you do this on top down. Now you can see these are not perfectly on point, right? So now I will say that one thing that I've noticed too is you got this overlap, right? One thing you can do is you can say exclude first. See what happens if you uncheck that, and you can also uncheck or check exclude last. So those stay as the same, right? So, and then everything in between gets randomized, but the first and last don't. I like to have it so that like those stay the same. And then let's look at scale for a moment, okay? So, on the scale, you can say if it's uniform or if it's on the axes that you go and you mess around with these, right? So if we were to go uniform, then we can say, all right, well, let's get this scale to randomize about this much, right? As I'm doing the slider value. And you can see that immediately. Or you can change it so that it's the axes. Okay? And with the axes, sorry, that's on rotation I was doing. Right now we don't have any randomization. It's just at 0 on each of these. But let's say I want to alter the heights on these. Then I can start randomizing that. So we can do stuff like that. Flipping I have not played with, so let's have some fun with this, right? So I don't want to flip it on the Z-axis. On the Y-axis, I think I'd be good with that. So let's see what we can do with flipping, right? You're probably not going to see a lot because everything's symmetrical on this, right? So that one, probably not so much on that, right? So, doing a pyramid is probably not the best example, right? So, but And take a look at this, though. I mean, look at what kind of stuff you can do with doing the circular array, right? So, let me know what you think of this episode in the comments below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so and make sure to make a like on this if you like this video. And thank you so much for watching this episode of Nathan's 3D Factory. Have a great day, guys.